I took a $37,500 offer and turned it into a $160,000 settlement in an injury claim. But what did I do to make this happen, and how can you use it for your injury case? What I'm going to tell you is very important because insurance companies just don't show up at your doorstep and hand you loads of money. Much of what I'm going to discuss applies to all types of personal injury claims, including car accident claims, slip and falls, and all types of cases. While she was on vacation in Miami Beach, Florida, Lisa was staying at a hotel. And one evening, she went with her husband and they exited the doors of the hotel and they walked through the breezeway area, which is an outdoor uncovered area. She was wearing high heels and she claimed that one of her high heels got caught in a hole that was in the tile. She fell to the floor and had bad leg pain. Her husband reported the incident to hotel security. Security, tell me the entire story, what happened, everything from A to Z. And the security brought a bag of ice and learned where she fell. Now, her husband was very smart by reporting this incident to hotel security. The longer you wait to report an incident, generally speaking, the worse it is for your case, because if there is surveillance, the surveillance could disappear. Had Lisa waited a while to report it, the hotel security would become more and more suspicious of the potential claim. But in this case, security came out and saw that Lisa was complaining of serious pain to her lower leg. At the urgent care, they took an x-ray of Lisa's lower leg and diagnosed her with a fibula fracture, and they put a cast on her leg. The day after the fall, Lisa's husband went out to the breezeway at the hotel and took photos of the general area, which was great, and he also took a photo showing the depth of the hole. In particular, he put his finger inside the hole to show that it was very deep. Now, it's always important to not just take a photo of the dangerous condition that you believe caused you to fall. It's also important to take a photo of the general area. You want to be able to show to both the insurance adjuster for the hotel or anywhere where you fell, and you want to be able to show to your attorney if you choose to hire one, so that they can know where you were coming from, where you were going to, what the general area looked like, and whether you should have seen this before you fell. In order to get money for pain and suffering in a trip and fall or any personal injury case, you have to show that someone else did something wrong. It's often tough to prove that the place where you were injured is at fault. Sometimes they're just not at fault. What Lisa had going for her is she was walking in an area that she was allowed to be walking at. She was a guest staying at the hotel, so she was allowed to be there, and this was an area where other hotel guests were allowed to use. Now, this case is a much easier case than had Lisa been walking in grass where she wasn't allowed to be walking and she tripped and fell in a hole in the grass. And the flooring that she fell on seemed to be some type of limestone or coral stone floor, which naturally has holes in it. However, our argument was the hotel shouldn't have allowed the hole to go from a little bit to a huge area, as you could see from her husband's finger length inside the hole. After Lisa found out that she had a broken bone, she searched for a hotel injury lawyer near Miami Beach, and she found myself. We spoke and she hired me immediately. I sent an email and letter to the hotel asking them to preserve all video surveillance and for them to tell me who their insurance company was. Markel American Insurance Company insured the hotel. I requested that Markel tell me the amount of the liability limits, and that's the portion of the insurance policy that pays for your pain and suffering if you can prove that the hotel's at fault, and your medical bills and lost wages. Markel would not send me the declarations page for the policy that shows all the insurance limits, but they did tell me that there was $10,000 in medical payments coverage on the policy. Medical payments coverage is the insurance coverage that pays regardless of fault. So even if we were not able to show that the hotel did anything wrong, they would still have to pay up to the medical payments limit for Lisa's medical bills. In this case, the limit was $10,000 and the adjuster agreed to pay the medical payments coverage. Lisa later flew back to her home state and a doctor operated on her lower leg bone. Specifically, they put a plate and screws into her lower leg. Lisa also took a photo that shows the stitches in her leg after the surgery. A few months after the surgery, Lisa had some irritation in her lower leg, and the doctor did a second surgery to remove one of the screws that he believed was causing the irritation. Lisa had health insurance from her job, and they paid most of the medical bills. She did have about $5,000 in out-of-pocket medical bills. She also claimed that she lost about $10,000 from being unable to work as a result of her injury. Now, as with most trip and fall cases or any case where you're injured on someone else's property, the insurance company did not admit fault. In fact, their opening offer was $27,500 for the liability coverage, plus the $10,000 in medical payments coverage that applies regardless of fault. So that essentially means their opening offer was $37,500. I knew that $37,500 was way too low of an offer given the facts of the accident and Lisa's serious injury. Now, in some personal injury cases, if the other side really didn't do much wrong and you were mostly at fault, perhaps $37,500 would be a fair offer for this type of case. However, here I felt that we had a good case against the hotel for allowing this large hole to be there in the tile. Now, there are many people who wouldn't award much money in a trip and fall case. I would not award 1 red cent to someone who slips or trips and falls. They should take some personal responsibility. I battled with the hotel's insurance company for several months. They increased their offer a few times, but not by a huge amount. I took a tough stance. I told the adjuster, this is a clear liability accident. I think it's a great liability case and the hotel is at fault. The adjuster said to me, I don't agree that it's a great liability case. We don't have your client's statement. We don't know what she's going to say. And there was no surveillance of the accident. All things equal, if there's surveillance that shows that there was something wrong that caused you to fall, you have a stronger case, because then you don't have the potential fact of the insurance company or a jury saying, did you really get injured the way you said you did? And was there really something wrong that caused your injury? Now, like many insurance companies, the adjuster wasn't responsive to my emails and phone calls. I had to call and email over and over, and I couldn't get her on the phone. So I prepared a draft lawsuit and I emailed it to the adjuster. I essentially created the lawsuit that we were going to file in this case if the hotel wasn't going to be fair and pay me fair value for this case. And I told the adjuster, I'm going to have to file this lawsuit if you don't offer me fair value for my client's personal injury. The draft lawsuit seemed to get the adjuster's attention. Our final demand to the insurance company was for $210,000. However, Lisa wanted to accept the $160,000 offer. She did not want to continue negotiating, and even though the insurance adjuster told us that it was her final offer, oftentimes the adjuster will tell you it's their final offer and it's really not. Ultimately, we settled the case for $160,000, which is $150,000 from the liability coverage and $10,000 from the medical payments coverage. And this settlement was over 4 times the insurance company's first offer. But the battle wasn't over. The insurance company sent us their release of claims, which is what you sign at the end in exchange for your settlement check. And their release of claims, had Lisa signed it, it would have made some of the settlement taxable. This is because the release contained a confidentiality section, and the IRS has said that any amount being paid for confidentiality is considered taxable. I sent the insurance company my release, they rejected it. We asked them what was wrong with our release. They told us. I made a change to our release, and they ultimately accepted it. This is after the insurance adjuster told me she did not want to go round and round with me about the release. But the moral of the story there is, don't automatically listen to what the insurance adjuster says. Even though they're the ones with the money and it can be very tempting to just agree to what they're saying and believe them, they are often wrong, and oftentimes they will agree to your position if you're being reasonable. And now Lisa does not have to pay taxes on this personal injury settlement. And because I did not file a lawsuit, I did not charge an attorney's fee on the $10,000 in medical payments coverage from the hotel's insurance policy. After my lawyer's fees, costs, and paying back Lisa's medical bill, she got over $94,900 in her pocket. The best part is that Lisa's leg overall is doing well. When she works a long shift, it can swell. However, the reason why the total settlement was $160,000 here and not an amount that's much larger is because she had a very good recovery. Had she had a very bad recovery and developed a chronic regional pain syndrome or something very serious, or nerve damage, or walked with a limp, or had one leg shorter than the other, or if a doctor recommended a future surgery and it was likely to occur, that would have likely increased the value of her case a lot. But personal injury settlements like this one are based on how serious your injury is. And in the medical records, the doctor said Lisa was doing very good. If you don't have much pain at the end of all your treatment and you're doing very good and you don't have a real big disability, don't expect a huge settlement. I've shared some mistakes that you can make in a personal injury claim. However, there's tons of other common mistakes that you can make in a personal injury case that can cost you a huge amount of money. To learn these common mistakes, watch this video here or click on the link in the description below. And if you've been seriously injured in the state of Florida or on a cruise and someone else is at fault and you're looking to hire an attorney, click on the link in the description below to fill out my contact form to see if I can represent you.